Hello. If you're watching this, it's because you might be interested in joining me on the Artist's Way this winter. And thank you for watching. I'm I'm really excited to do this round. I've only done it once completely through because it's 12 weeks. So I've started it and stopped, which is common for people. But I've only done it once all the way through before, and it really did amazing things for me in my life and my creativity. And I ended up having my paintings in an art show, and just really believing in my abilities as a creative person. And yeah, I'm just so excited to do it again and to see what unfolds again, and also to be doing it with new people and see what unfolds for everyone else, because I think that's just the ripple effect is amazing. So we'll get to it. I'm going to read the first couple pages of the introduction of The Artist's Way because I think it really gives a good idea of what this program is like. So this is from, yeah, this is the 25th anniversary edition of The Artist's Way. And I'm reading from the original introduction that starts on page Roman numerals XV or 15. All right. Introduction. When people ask, this is Julia Cameron writing, by the way. When people ask me what I do, I usually answer, I'm a writer-director, and I teach these creativity workshops. The last one interests them. How can you teach creativity? They want to know. Defiance fights with curiosity on their faces. Well, I can't, I tell them. I teach people to let themselves be creative. Oh, you mean we're all creative? Now disbelief and hope battle it out. Yes. You really believe that? Yes. So what do you do? This book is what I do. For a decade now, and this introduction is from the 90s, so at this point it's been 40 years, because she did it for a decade. She taught this stuff for a decade before the book was published, and the book was published 30 years ago. But in the 90s, she said, for a decade now, I have taught a spiritual workshop aimed at freeing people's creativity. I have taught artists and non-artists, painters and filmmakers and homemakers and lawyers, anyone interested in living more creatively through practicing an art, even more broadly, anyone interested in practicing the art of creative living. While using, teaching, and sharing tools I have found, devised, and divined and been handed, I have seen blocks dissolved and lives transformed by the simple process of engaging the great creator in discovering and recovering our creative powers. The great creator? That sounds like some Native American god. That sounds too Christian, too New Age, too stupid, simple-minded, threatening. I know. Think of it as an exercise in open-mindedness. Just think, okay, great creator, whatever that is. Adjust the camera. There we go. And keep reading. Okay, great creator, whatever that is. Keep reading. Allow yourself to experiment with the idea that there might be a great creator and you might get some kind of use from it in freeing your own creativity. Because the artist's way is, in essence, a spiritual path. Initiated and practiced through creativity, this book uses the word God. This may be volatile for some of you, conjuring old, unworkable, unpleasant, or simply unbelievable ideas about God as you were raised to understand Him. Please be open-minded. Remind yourself that to succeed in this course, no God concept is necessary. In fact, many of our commonly held God concepts get in the way. Do not allow semantics to become one more block for you. When the word God is used in these pages, you may substitute the thought good, orderly direction or flow. What we are talking about is a creative energy. God is useful shorthand for many of us, but so is goddess, mind, universe, source, and higher power, etc., etc. The point is not what you name it. The point is that you try using it. For many of us, thinking of it as a form of spiritual electricity has been a very useful jumping off place. By the simple scientific approach of experimentation and observation, A workable connection with the flow of good orderly direction can easily be established. It is not the intent of these pages to engage in explaining, debating, or defining that flow. You do not need to understand electricity to use it. Do not call it God unless that is comfortable for you. There seems to be no need to name it unless that name is a useful shorthand for what you experience. Do not pretend to believe when you don't. If you remain forever an atheist, agnostic, so be it. You will still be able to experience an altered life through working with these principles. I have worked artist to artist with potters, photographers, poets, screenwriters, dancers, novelists, actors, directors, and with those who knew only what they dreamed to be or only dreamed of being somehow more creative. I have seen blocked painters paint, broken poets speak in tongues, halt and lame and maimed writers racing through final drafts. I have come to not only believe, but know. No matter what your age or your life path, whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, and I'll step in there and clarify, making art does not have to be like making a sculpture or making a painting. It can be making a beautiful meal, making a beautiful garden. Like it can be whatever your creative expression is. And she gets into that more later in the book. But by making art, whatever your creative expression is manifested in our reality. Whether making art is your career or your hobby or your dream, it is not too late or too egotistical or too selfish or too silly to work on your creativity. One 50-year-old student who always, quote unquote, always wanted to write, used these tools and emerged as a prize-winning playwright. A judge used these tools to fulfill his lifelong dreams of sculpting. I'm adding Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which is also now a movie starring Julia Roberts, and she wrote Big Magic. She's famous author. She used this book, and that's how Eat, Pray, Love happened. So lots of famous people, lots of ordinary people have used this book. Not all students become full-time artists as a result of the course. In fact, many full-time artists report that they have become more creatively rounded into full-time people. Through my own experience and that of countless others that I have shared, I have come to believe that creativity is our true nature. Yes, that blocks are an unnatural thwarting of a process at once as normal and as miraculous as the blossoming of a flower at the end of a slender green stem. I have found this process of making spiritual contact to be both simple and straightforward with that creative energy, spiritual contact with that creative energy. If you are creatively blocked, and I believe all of us are to some extent, it is possible, even probable, that you can learn to create more freely through your willing use of the tools this book provides. Just as doing hatha yoga stretches alters consciousness when all you are doing is stretching, doing the exercises in this book alters consciousness when all you are doing is writing and playing. I'll touch on that in a second. Do these things and a breakthrough will follow. It will, I promise. I've experienced it many times. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you call it a spiritual awakening or not. In short, the theory doesn't matter as much as the practice itself does. What you are doing is creating pathways in your consciousness through which the creative forces can operate. So just clearing out the muck so creativity can flow through you, basically, like a river that's been stopped up with a bunch of garbage and so it can't flow freely. We're getting that garbage out and then it can flow freely. Once you agree to clearing these pathways, your creativity emerges. In a sense, your creativity is like your blood. Just as blood is a fact of your physical body and nothing you invented, creativity is a fact of your spiritual body and nothing that you must invent. You just have to clear the way for it to come through. So in the rest of the introduction, she talks about her journey, how she's always been a writer. She wrote plays, she wrote for TV, she's a journalist, she's always been a writer. She got sober in 1978, and out of getting sober, she had to learn how to trust her creativity without the use of alcohol, basically, and started developing these exercises that are used in the book and sharing them just with her friends who um, were blocked creatives, blocked artists. So shared them with her friends, and it grew into a global phenomenon basically over the past 40 years. So that's a little taste of the Artist's Way. Like she said, it really basically is as simple as showing up and doing the exercises, the bulk of which is writing a little bit every day. We get into that more later, which might sound daunting, but it's really really rewarding. I can't like it, it's always hard to start something new, but like it feels so much better when you do. And then the other main exercise is playing, making time every week for you to play. And if you know me, you know I'm all about play. So I'm such a fan of that. She calls them artist dates. It's just going and filling up your creative well with inspiration and joy and fun and play. So those are like the pillars of this. Every week we show up and read the chapter and what insights she has in the chapter related to the creative blocks people face. And then there's really fun reflective exercises along with those blocks to clear the way for stuff, to invite new things in, to inspire ideas about what you might want to be doing with your creative energy or on your artist play dates or things like that. So it's going to be really powerful. I think, especially moving from winter into spring, it's such a transition of like letting things go and letting the new things emerge. I'm never more creative than when it's springtime. So I think this is going to be just the perfect time and a really powerful experience. And I hope a really powerful group of people coming together. So if you want to be a part of this, it's completely free. You just have to get the book and a journal for yourself. And you can sign up through, if you already found this, you might already have the link to sign up, but I'm going to put the link in the description as well. And then when you sign up, you'll get an email. Check your promotion or spam folder for the email, and it'll have all the details. We start February 3rd with the introduction call. So we'll read the rest of the introduction and how the program is run. And then the following week, we'll dive into week 1 of the Artist's Way. So thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You probably know how to reach me if you found this video. So you can also comment and I'll see it somehow. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.